Hey everybody, it's Jess from Pinecone Papers, and today I wanted to talk about how to get back into your bullet journal after you've neglected it for a while. And more importantly, why it's okay to neglect your bullet journal for a bit of time. So, when we lose our consistency with planning, it really can feel like we've let ourselves down. Some of the comments that I get most often sound a lot like this. I feel so guilty that I can't stick with this. I go days without using my bullet journal and I don't know how to get back into it. Everyone else makes it look so easy. I know it will help me, but I can't do it every day. I'm exhausted and in pain and I just don't feel like doing it. So, first, I totally hear you. I have felt all of those things. And over the last couple of years, I have personally come in and out of bullet journaling to the point where I almost shut down my blog because I just didn't feel like it was fair to you guys if I couldn't keep up with my own bullet journal. But then I kept seeing so many of us talking about this, and I just had like an aha moment. We are putting so much pressure on ourselves and setting our expectations so high that our bullet journal suddenly becomes like another day job or a chore that we have to do every single day. And really, who needs that? Planning and journaling is supposed to serve us and help us. It's not to create negative feelings and resentment. That is completely not what it's for. So, some of you might be like me and you might have a compulsive need to check every single box and fill out every single day. And it's the completionist in me that really almost drove me completely away from planning. But what is one of the most important things we can do with a chronic illness? We need to cut ourselves some slack. So, my goal here is to help you realize that gaps in your bullet journal are normal, and especially in chronic illness planning. And I just want to talk about some ways to embrace those gaps and really understand that the empty pages are going to be there. They're definitely going to be there. So, say it with me, it's okay to have gaps in your bullet journal or your planner. It really, really is. So let's talk about the two type of gaps that you'll probably have in your bullet journal. The first one revolves around daily planning and journaling, and the second one revolves around collection pages, goals, dreams, hopes, and plans, all those really fun pages that we like to make. I'm going to show you another bullet journal with a weekly spread that I have in it. And this is just my weekly, but I also try to journal. Well, I used to try to journal every single day. I'm not going to show you those because they're all private, but basically, I really learned that it's not realistic or good for me to try to do it every single day. And so now I've embraced sporadic journaling, and I just wanted to share a couple reasons why I took all of the pressure off of myself to journal every day. So the first thing is when I'm in a flare, I just simply don't have enough energy, and I'd rather put it towards a long conversation with my husband or, making dinner. I may not have anything to say about the day. Maybe nothing happened that day. Maybe it was just a plain everyday day, and I really just don't need to journal about that. Or more importantly, I may only have negative things to say that just won't serve a purpose if I write them down. In other words, documenting my crummy day just for the sake of documenting it is just not helpful. On the flip side, there are times when I have really strong feelings and I'm confused or overwhelmed about something and it feels really negative. And for me, that is a great reason to journal and to process those feelings. But here's the way I'm looking at it. If I am processing, that's productive and it's super helpful. Ranting is not. I can go and rant to my husband or, call a friend or whatever, but I don't need to document a big, giant, long rant session. It's usually just like a waste of time and energy. So why do that? So anyway, kind of getting back to my weekly spread. Sorry, I just sort of went on and on and on, but to get back to the weekly spread, I sometimes have blank spaces under something like my meal planning. So I wanted to show you, this is like what kind of a fuller week looks like for me. And it's got, a lot of things spread out. And at the end of the week, I come in and I put in my notes. I I did have tasks this week, but clearly I didn't mark them off. I have a section here for changes for anything that I do for medication changes or therapy changes, any kind of exercises that I'm adding or taking away. I find it really important to write those down. So I wanted to show you kind of what a, a not so full week looks like, or a week where I just really didn't take a lot of time to enter a lot of things. I only had a couple of little tasks that I put in the beginning of the week. As the week went on, I really didn't fill it out very well. And so what I was saying about meal planning is, you can just add, even if it's blank, you can come back at the end of the week. I wrote, did we even eat this week? Question mark. I know that there were a couple of medications that I had to give my dog Rocky, and so I marked those down just so that I would remember them. But, I probably had other things happening that week, and I probably wanted to write things down as I went, but that week just wasn't working for me, so I just didn't do it. And that's okay. So, also, if you're tracking things, I'm really big on tracking. If you're tracking things, I just wrote this in so that I could give you kind of an example of what this looks like. I really struggled with if I was tracking something and I didn't actually keep up with it. It really bothered me that I had blank spaces in my tracker. So what I've started doing is if I have like a blank day where I didn't track something, then I just kind of color code it. I just put a little line in there to show me, that just to ignore it, because at the end of this month, I'll go in and I'll go in and I'll connect all these dots so that I can kind of see like what that pattern was. And so on this, I might like even play around and just put like a dashed line or something, or I might not do anything. It doesn't really matter. It's not, this isn't a science fair project. So it's just for me to know that I didn't track it that day, and it's not a big deal. Okay, so let's start talking about collection pages. I wanted to show this one really quick because sometimes I leave pages blank in my journal just because. This one is a cover page, so I just left it blank on the other side. Sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of white space in your journal, so that's always fun. The other thing I wanted to show you is just that when I plan out my month, I usually have a few pages that I want to try or that I'm trying to see if they're serving me. So I'll plan for those pages even if I'm not sure I'll use them, because I want to always have hope and excitement when it comes to planning. And, I know that I might not use them, and that's okay. I also know that I can add pages later, which is a great way to do it. And obviously, that's a big part of how bullet journaling works if you're doing it traditionally. So I use sticky notes, and as the first day of the month, goes on, and as the first few days go on, I'll start making the pages or headers, generally, and set intentions. So right here, I have a page that I was going to put all of my blog goals and tracker right here, which I'll do. I'll still do that one. But this one, it says family habits goal, be mindful of changes we can make together. Number 1, eating out, and number 2, chores around the house. So at the beginning of this month, I thought, just because summer's here doesn't mean that we can just like never cook dinner again, and my teenager doesn't have to clean anything, and chores are just kind of out the window. So I was going to sit down with everybody and we were going to talk about this, but clearly I also would like to not cook dinner, and I don't care about chores. So we never talked about it, and I never put it together. So what I'll probably do with this page is I'll probably just leave it exactly as it is. It's just penciled in. But I just feel like, why erase it? That's just work that I don't need to do. And why worry about it? Maybe I'll come back to this in July or in August or in September, and maybe I'll decide that this was a good idea and I want to put it in a different month. Never know. So, let's see. I also have pages here which I did actually pen up, and I never actually added anything to them. So this was getting close to the end of the school year, and I decided that I wanted to really kind of stay on target, and I was going to keep track of certain things. So I had like an Alistair method, tracker here, but I never actually filled it in. So at the end of the month, I just came in and I wrote, we'll try this spread next month. I just added a note, and that's something you can do when you have something blank. You can just come in and be like, you know what, this just didn't work out for me, or I don't think this is going to work out for me. So nice try, but and that's sort of what this one was. Is it was going to be something for my husband and I to keep track of dates and projects and things that we do together. And I just didn't like the way that it just felt like it was too boxy and too formal and just not conducive to dates and fun things. So I just said, think through other layouts. So that's what I'll do with that. And the other thing that you can do, clearly last month I didn't want to talk about shopping and eating out either. And so I said, clearly I really didn't want to see this. I think I was afraid of how much money we were spending. So the other thing that I can show you is just how you can add like a piece of scrapbook paper, or you can print out an illustration and paste that in with a glue stick or some washi tape. And that's really good for, let's say that you've got some sort of a page that really just didn't work out, and it was rambling on, or there was a lot of weird things happening there, and you're just like, I don't even want to remember that. So you can just cover it up if you want. I try not to do this too much because I actually like to see my mistakes and or things that I've tried. I think it's great to do it that way. And like I said, I also, I really like putting blank pages in. I think it also helps to kind of call out things. This was going to be my June goals, my two main goals that I wanted to do in June. So, it's okay to have like totally blank pages in here intentionally as well. And sometimes if you end up with a blank page kind of in the middle, you can be a little snarky with it, and you can say something like 404 page not found, or this page intentionally blank, something like that, just to keep it kind of fun. So I hope this helps you to forgive yourself and embrace your gaps. Planning and journaling is, it's meant to serve you and to make your life better, and not to weigh you down, not to feel like a burden. You may need to work a bit at the beginning to kind of get into the habit, but I don't want you to just be like, oh, I did one weekly and now the following week I didn't do anything, so I just have to give up. Because that's just, so many people feel like that. So many people have gaps and leave their planner. I've abandoned my planner for weeks at a time if I was in a really bad flare or when I started my new job, and it's okay to do that. The trick is you got to get back into it, because your planner, it's supposed to be an amazing way to help you get your life back on track and to be mindful about what you're doing. So you can only do that if you're also okay with having a bunch of gaps in your planner. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you have your own experiences with gaps and how you got past them, or maybe you're still, on that cusp of like, I don't know how to get back into my planner. I'd love to hear about that. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, and I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you on the next video.